Scottish Politician of the Year Awards 2013. And our first award tonight is, as usual, for the best Scot at Westminster. And to make the presentation, here's a new member of the judging panel from the University of Glasgow, Professor Catherine Schenk.
Well, thanks very much. It's an absolute pleasure. I think it's a bit cruel to make the newbie give the first award away. But it has a certain allure, I think. It might be one of the last times that this award is given. So the best Scot at Westminster. And the nominees are Douglas Alexander, MP. Tom Greatrex, MP. Angus Robertson, MP. And the winner is Douglas Alexander, MP.
Thank you, Catherine. I'll put you down as an undecided. Listen, I'm the guy who coordinated Labour's general election in 2010, ran David Miliband's leadership contest. I voted for Rebecca Ferguson on the X Factor, so I am both stunned and very grateful to win this award this evening. Thank you very much to the judging panel. It's fair to say that the votes that were cast in Westminster on the 29th of August were consequential, to an extent that even we were not certain on the evening. It was a night of high drama. There had been discussions with the Prime Minister and with the Deputy Prime Minister, but also with the leader of the Scottish National Party in Westminster, Angus Robertson, who's here with us this evening. When the votes were cast, I turned to Angus, who had kindly and generously signed the Labour motion, and said, "One of the lessons I draw from this, Angus, is that we're better together." To which Angus, to be fair to him, replied instantly, "As I recollect it, we both voted yes." But in all conscience, I couldn't accept this award this evening without honestly acknowledging that the suffering of the people of Syria, notwithstanding the important progress on chemical weapons, continues to this day. More than 100,000 dead, more than 6 million people now displaced. And if, like I, you've had the privilege of seeing the extraordinary work that organisations like Save the Children are still doing in the Zaatari refugee camp and in other camps across Jordan and Turkey to try and alleviate that suffering, I wouldn't need to convince you that we need to continue to try and do everything we can to both resolve the crisis and to end the suffering. But tonight's an evening for celebration. Thank you very much indeed.
But our next award tonight is the Donald Dewar Debater of the Year, which is generously supported by NVT Group. And to tell us about this year's nominees, please welcome Managing Director of NVT Group, Mr. Stephen Park-Brown.
First Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege again to be here this year to support what we think is probably the best evening in the social calendar over the winter, the Politician of the Year dinner. Last year when I stood here, unfortunately, we weren't allowed to say that we had actually won the Commonwealth Games bid to provide the Technology Services Integrator part. And now this year, I'm delighted to say that we've managed to win the other great event next year, the Ryder Cup, providing the Technology Services Integrator piece for the Ryder Cup next September. If the First Minister needs us to help him with the referendum, we're always there to help him with the technology. So with 33 Mondays, I was told this morning with one of our directors, Hamish Fraser, who's here this evening, and Hamish said there are 33 Mondays to the Games. And I just thought, at this point, we're actually now on the inside track and we can see it, and the Commonwealth Games will be here fairly soon. Having just won the Ryder Cup, you'll appreciate we've got a fair way to go. Boom, boom. Anyway, enough of that. We hope that you'll have a very interesting year debating what's going to happen with our future. And tonight, I'd like to read the nominees for the Donald Dewar Debater of the Year. Patrick Harvey, MSP. Joanne Lamont, MSP. the Deputy First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, MSP. The winner of the Donald Dewar Debate of the Year goes to Joanne Lamont, MSP.
Unfortunately, Joanne can't be with us tonight. Now, it's not in protest that the Herald's Something for Nothing culture or anything like that, but she's hosting the Tyree Gathering, which for someone from Tyree is a pretty big honour in itself, almost even as big as Donald Dewar Debater of the Year. But Cara Hilton, the newest MSP in the Scottish Parliament, is here to collect the award on her behalf. Cara.
Thank you. Thank you. As Colin has just said, unfortunately Joanne can't make it tonight. She's got the privilege of chairing the 113th Gathering Concert of the Tyree Concert Association in Glasgow, and anyone that knows Joanne will know how important Hebridean culture is to her. It is of course a tremendous honour to Joanne to be named Debater of the Year. She is of course the politician who introduced to Scottish politics the phrase, "Look, there's a squirrel," to describe the First Minister's habit of evading questions at FMQs. At a time when the debate about our future could not be more important, let's hope that that debate is allowed to flourish over the next year. Thank you once again.
Now on to One to Watch, this year supported by Scottish Power Renewables. Please welcome Chief Executive Keith Anderson to the stage.
Thank you, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Scottish Power. These are truly quite exceptional times from a political perspective. Between now and this ceremony next year is probably one of the biggest political debates any of us will ever witness. As Chief Executive of a company based in Glasgow, I constantly get asked, what's our opinion? How should you vote? What are your staff going to do? What's the impact on your company? Up until now, we have never ever answered that question. We constantly tell people we don't have a position on that issue. However, tonight I thought I would reveal the correct answer, what we really think. And what I'll say to you is, I'm recommending we vote yes. Yes to keeping the cone. The other big debate that we take part in is obviously around energy. There's been lots and lots of debate about that recently. So much so that I got asked to attend a board meeting and explain what was going on in the UK. I decided to send them a video. I sent them a short video clip of a very famous old Two Ronnies sketch called Four Candles. You may have seen it before, where he goes in and asks for 4 candles, and there's a debate about whether it's 4 candles or 4 candles. I turned up to the board meeting and was asked to explain myself, and I said, well look, it's quite simple. There's lots of people think we should fork off. There's lots of people who think energy security and supply in the country is a bit of a fork up. So I've decided our strategy from now to keep the lights on is to give all of you 4 candles. Now, on to the nominees for this year's One to Watch. First of all, number 1, Kezia Dugdale. Secondly, Jenny Mara. And thirdly, Mark MacDonald. And it's my pleasure to announce that the winner of the One to Watch award is Kezia Dugdale.
Joanne Lamont told me earlier today that I didn't want to win this because she calls it the one for the watching category, so I need to be a wee bit careful from now on in. But since she's not here, I just wanted to say a few more nice words about her. 2011 wasn't a particularly good time for the Labour Party, and Joanne came into the leadership role, and there's a lot of new MSPs there who didn't expect really to be there, and she created a wonderful environment for us to find our feet, to find ourselves, to make a contribution to Scottish life in a way that I think a lot of us are now trying to do. So Joanne, since you're not here, thanks very much. Cheers.
Next, the Herald Politics and Business Award, recognising politicians successfully engaging with the business community to create a more business-friendly environment and increase the prospects for economic success in Scotland. The award is generously supported by RBS Group, and I'm delighted to welcome Simon McNamara, RBS Group Chief Administration Officer, to make tonight's presentation.
I could tell a couple of jokes, but one, there's a few hard acts to follow, and secondly, I'm not sure it's any longer appropriate for a banker, so I won't be going there. RBS are delighted actually to sponsor this Politics and Business Award. For everyone in the room here, you'd all be very aware of the importance of a strong Scottish economy. It is a responsibility we at RBS take very seriously. We've got over 100,000, I think, businesses that we support here in Scotland, from very small companies, I've had the privilege to see quite a few, and large PLCs. And obviously we're a very big employer in our own right. So that's probably all I wanted to say, other than move on to the nominees for the Politics and Business Award. So the shortlist: Gavin Brown, MSP. Richard Lockhead, MSP. And finally, John Swinney, MSP. And the winner is Richard Lockhead.
Well, there was a sweepstake at my table, and we all went for John Swinney apart from one person, and that wasn't me, so I'm genuinely surprised that winning this award this evening. I expect my next budget negotiations with John will be going to be that bit tougher. Well, I'm very honoured to win this because I do have the opportunity to eat and drink for Scotland, and I have done that for a few years now. It's been fantastic fun, but this really is a bit tribute to all the food and drink producers in Scotland, because our food and drink industry is going through the roof at the moment. Big food and drink revolution going on out there. Exports up by 50% in food, 50-odd% in whisky, and so on. A real big success story for this country. So if I've made even the smallest contribution towards that success, I'm very proud of that, and I'm very lucky in this job. So thank you, the judges. Thank you very much.
Next, it's Scottish Local Politician of the Year. Once again, the award is supported by the Improvement Service. To announce the nominees and make the presentation, I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Mark McAteer, Director of Governance and Performance Management.
First Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure, like me, all of you know the true value that local politicians bring to their communities, and the value in terms of the quality of life for people in Scotland. I'm sure over the next year, as we debate the constitutional position, we will also be debating the future for local government in Scotland, and the Commission for Strengthening Local Democracy, I'm sure we'll be hearing from many people in this room. And again tonight we've got, in this case, 5 politicians who are up for nomination for the Local Politician of the Year award. And the finalists are, we've got Councillor Barbara Grant, Councillor Ken Gills, and representing the Three Islands councils, we've got Councillor Gary Robinson, Councillor Angus Campbell, and Councillor Stephen Headey. And the award for the Scottish Local Politician of the Year goes to the Three Island Council leaders, Gary Robinson, Angus Campbell and Stephen Headey.
I was feeling lucky this morning when I consulted Google Maps to find out how to get to Stockbridge, and it included a section on the Water of Leith. But I think this is an enormous honour for the islands, and I think it really does show what 3 dedicated council leaders can do. We got the Lerwick Declaration earlier this summer. We were given an Islands Area Ministerial Working Group by the Scottish Government, and a desk in the Scotland office. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. I'm very unprepared, because if anybody's seen Table 1 tonight, you'll realise I've spent all week making a cardboard cutout of myself, thinking I wouldn't be able to make it here tonight. But I have made it. It's a slightly turboprop lagged, and delighted to be up here with these 2 guys sharing this award. I would like to think we've got this award for our principled stance, our compelling vision. I hope we haven't got it because of our charming regional accents, but you can listen to Angus and so form your own opinions.
Can I just say that the cardboard cutout buys more rounds than Stephen does? I want to pay
tribute to these two guys because I've been here a wee while. They're new leaders. They've taken on a huge new agenda for the islands. They've taken on the agenda of independence. And I think they deserve so much credit in a time of real financial problems and for the islands. They have taken on the other thing, and I would just like to pay tribute to these two guys. Thank you.
Next we have Public Campaign or Campaigner of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public award to recognise those who've engaged most effectively with the political system. To tell you about this year's nominees, please give a warm welcome to Editor of the Evening Times, Tony Carlin.
Can I just congratulate all the successful winners and finalists in this year's competition, and I'd like to extend a special congratulations to Magnus Llewellyn on his first year as editor of The Herald. I think he's done a superb job. I'm sure you all think that. Now, the Evening Times has always stood very firmly against drugs, but I've got to say I am absolutely looking forward to the E-Politician of the Year. Few things are more important in the political world than campaigns and the people who lead them. That's why I'm delighted to present the nominees for the Public Campaign or Campaigner of the Year. And the nominees are Anne Houston, Children First; Shelter Scotland; and Tommy Whitelaw, Tommy and Tour Campaign. And I'm delighted to announce that the winner is Shelter Scotland.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed, and thank you to the Herald, not only for your nomination and award, but for your voice of reason on this issue throughout its term. Can I also thank in the audience this evening Gordon McRae and Murdo Matheson from Shelter Scotland, who have been fantastic throughout this campaign and made it happen. Can I also remind you and thank the Scottish Government and MSPs for the additional £20 million this year that they secured and £20 million next year that they secured, which will not solve the problem but will go some way to mitigating the worst effects of the pernicious bedroom tax. And finally, I think this award is really for the 82,000 people across Scotland, 82,000 people who are affected tonight by this tax, who are seeing their income recede, who are seeing their bills go up, who are seeing their life chances being diminished. Let us end that pernicious policy. Please, thank you very much indeed.
Next we have an award for political impact. Someone who knows a bit about that's here to make the presentation. He's Holyrood's top Dundee United fan, member of the judging panel and BBC Scotland political editor, Brian Taylor.
Shall I sing? No, I thought you'd say that. I thought you'd say that, and so the nominees in this category are later. Kenny McCaskill, MSP. Alistair Darling, MP, and Alex Salmond, MSP. Well, congratulations to all three. You've all done wonderfully well, but the winner in this category, Political Impact of the Year, is Kenny McCaskill, MSP.
Well, it's a great privilege to be awarded this, but the credit must go to Police Scotland, whether it's civilian staff or indeed police officers, whether they served in the legacy forces or whether they now serve in the Police Service of Scotland. Their record is outstanding, their service is exemplary. In Scotland, those of us in the Yes campaign aspire to play on the world stage. Many organisations, public and private, seek to play at a world level. Police Scotland is already world class. Thank you very much.
Now we have a new award for E-Politician of the Year for someone who's used the new media to their advantage and to keep in touch with the electorate. To make the presentation, I'm delighted to welcome another new member of our judging panel, Dr. Phillips O'Brien.
I think they gave me this one because I'm an American. And I sort of thought that we've got you beat at this because Anthony Weiner certainly would be politician of the decade for his innovative work in photography. But dealing with in Scotland, we had 3 nominees. The first was Ruth Davidson. The second is Tom Harris. And the third is Patrick Harvey. And the E-Politician of the Year is Patrick Harvey, MSP.
Gosh, thank you very much. That's thrilling and exciting. In relation to the earlier comment about the title of this award, I can give you a clear assurance that it's one of the few I haven't tried. So I'm really touched, though. These do mean a great deal to us. I remember way back to the 2003 Politician of the Year Awards when my party was privileged to be given the Election Campaign of the Year Award. Tail end of that session, just before the 2007 election, we were given an award for progress in politics. And just a few short months later, a fat lot of good they both did us. But thank you very much. I believe that the emerging technologies, social media and online participation is only just beginning to impact on politics, and it probably won't be politicians tweeting that gives the greatest democratization. I think it's going to be about empowering the electorate, empowering people to participate, and I really look forward to seeing many of the ways that we work at the moment becoming outmoded and redundant. So hopefully we'll see some much more creative use of online media in the future. Thank you very much indeed.
But to a special award first, that's not given every year. To announce the recipient of the Herald's Lifetime Achievement Award, please welcome the Scottish Parliament's presiding officer, Tricia Marwick.
Thank you very much indeed. The recipient of this year's award for Lifetime Achievement has had many careers: a journalist, a TV presenter, an academic, and he was elected as an MP in 1974. After he lost his seat in 1979, he went on to produce the award-winning documentary presented by Michael Burke, which alerted the world to the famine in Ethiopia, which was the catalyst for the Band Aid concerts. He worked with the Red Cross for 8 years in war zones across the world, which some may say was the ideal preparation for becoming an MSP in 1999. After 4 years as Deputy Presiding Officer, he was elected as Presiding Officer in 2003. This was at a time when the Parliament's reputation was suffering because of the delays and the cost of the new Holyrood building. It was to the relief of all of us MSPs that he declared the building would be finished by October 2004, and it was. Since his retirement from active politics in 2007, he has advised the National Trust for Scotland, the Welsh Assembly, the Northern Ireland Assembly, and many other institutions. He is also the Lord Lieutenant of his beloved Clackmannanshire. I'm delighted to announce that the recipient of the Herald's Lifetime Achievement Award goes to one of my predecessors, Sir George Reid.
A very good evening to you all. I'm sorry not to be with you, but only a few weeks after surgery, I'm afraid I'm not yet allowed out to play. I'm honoured by this award because it comes from Scotland's journalists, of whom, of course, I was one for 12 years. I learned then to concentrate on the big issues, to trust my judgment, and to do things fast. And these were skills which stood me in good stead in politics and in wars and disasters for the International Red Cross. I've had a problem in recent years, though. I've had to stay stumm. I've had to practice omerta in the interests of impartiality. But now that I've got to give up public appointments, it may be that I can start next year having opinions again. It may be that I can go back to where I began, as a scribbler. Scribbling not about personal achievement, but maybe about facilitation, about transition, about the great events at home and abroad in the past 50 years, which I've seen close up and all seen from a Scottish perspective. Watch this space. My thanks most sincerely to all of you again for the award, and have a cracking good evening.
But now it's the big one, Scottish Politician of the Year 2013. To tell us more, please welcome back to the stage Magnus Llewellyn.
I won't keep you long. I'd just like to congratulate all the nominees and all the winners yet again, and hope you've had a good evening. And now I'd like to read out the shortlist, which comprises Tricia Marwick, MSP, Alex Salmond, MSP, and Nicola Sturgeon, MSP. And the Scottish Politician of the Year is the First Minister, Alex Salmond.
Thank you, Magnus. Can I just say that I accept this award not for myself, but for Beyonce and Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. I also like to thank Colin Mackay. I was woken at 6 o'clock this morning to hear that, Colin, you'd outed yourself as my political strategist and revealed the contents of the white paper on the front page of the Herald. I was in one of my non-threatening phone calls to you about 6:10, when eventually you told me it wasn't you at all, but another Colin Mackay, and I was on live in Radio Clyde, Radio Tay, Radio Forth, and North Sound. I understand you mentioned my pair of tartan shoes earlier on. Can I just explain that for a minute, okay? Well, obviously, the tartan trews were surplus to requirements after the success of my 2+5 diet, in which I've gone down 3 sizes, at least. I can actually fit into one leg of the Chinese trews, exclusively revealed in the Daily Telegraph, and there's one of them here. And therefore I had 2 choices. Either I could auction them at the MCC, that's the real MCC, Merfleet Cricket Club, for £500, which I did, or I could have given them to Alistair Carmichael, in which case it would have been a trouser for the bruiser. But I'd like to thank you for telling the world again about that, because obviously you telling them tonight would be a far greater circulation than the Daily Telegraph mentioned it the first time round. Now, obviously, a substantially greater circulation. I'd like to congratulate all the winners of tonight's award. If I could say, particularly to George Reid, as I hope all of you know, he's suffering from a very serious illness. He looked great on camera, and I know that every single one of us will wish him well. A real worthy recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, we've passed a historic bill today in terms of the referendum bill. But I think it's also we should reflect that this year alone we've lost 3 MSPs, the David McCletchie, Brian Adam, and just last week Helen Eadie, all of whom were part of the 1999 intake in the reconvened Scottish Parliament, all of whom made a substantial contribution to making the Scottish Parliament the centrepiece of political debate in the nation. And as we reflect on that and reflect on the referendum bill that was passed today, McDermott once said, when last was something born in Scottish society, some challenge met and some triumph won. And 300 years of Scottish history, the Union, 1,000 years as an independent nation before that, there's been no better time in terms of being in public life in Scotland. The canvas that we have over the next year is unsurpassed. This is the moment for everyone, regardless of their point of view, to show what they can do in Scottish politics. And I've got absolutely no doubt whatsoever that people will rise to the challenge. This next year, will show the mettle
of Scottish politicians, of people who aspire to represent and to lead the nation. And I am certain that from every perspective we'll have a debate, and I hope a result, but certainly a debate, which will be worthy of the nation we seek to serve. Thank you very much.